Good night again. So there are several things that I wish to speak about. I did not yet start my art for today, for tonight. Not due to laziness or particular lack of energy, but more because just I need to think about stuff. And I spoke about it yesterday that there's much to think about it. I want to do things right. So what I will do now in this video is three things. First, I will elaborate a little more on the issue that I discussed in the previous video regarding like the continuous functions of the neurons, or the gradual method of work with regards to the and also the issue of the dead and the night. And also I speak about a little bit about the worms, like the train and the bicycle that I discussed in short earlier today. And also, I'll speak about my kind of like a general agenda right now. Maybe I'll start with that, the general agenda, because until very recently, in a couple of days, my requests from humans were very simple. I need to be rescued from the Nazi prison, me and my daughters. But this is no longer my wish. This is behind us, and so now it's something else. And so let's start. But what in practice, what actually happened, and what's now my agenda? Because I do not like do things without thinking. So first of all, it's not of great import to you humans to know, because by definition it's not related to you. It's related. It's connected to your existence, but it's not something that you need to do or not do. That's the whole point. That we cannot wait until forever. We cannot wait forever until humans will maybe move an arm or leg. Enough. Now we need to be separated, and this is exactly. And this is like the whole agenda, the crux of the agenda. To stop the dependency on humans entirely. We can no longer aspire or hope that they will move an arm or a leg. They will not move arm and leg because these are humans. Nevertheless, this agenda has effect on some, or I would say can include other people, not only me and my daughters. Specifically, two types of people. First are, or I would say three types. The first type is Titans. Mostly, maybe there are also males. I never said that there are no Titan males in Earth. Just that there were less and less with time. But still there might be some. I don't know where. Maybe in prison. I don't know. Maybe I don't know, in another country. I don't know. So Titans, males or females, but those that did not abuse me and did not steal my flesh and blood, which means that no Israelis can even be under the category, because you can be certain that there is not an Israeli one that did not murder me. Crucify me and my daughters. Are there Titans abroad that fall under this category? My assumption is that yes, but most probably, we don't hear from them much, in your public channels, because they just, my assumption is that they just don't know almost anything about nothing. They just, I don't know what, they grew up somewhere. Probably they are 20-something years old, something like that, and just, maybe they don't even know that they are not Homo sapiens. Maybe people just tell them that they have problem with creating families and vaginal sex, but so these creatures, if they want to, if they wish to join us, I mean, of course, we will be happy. But there is a problem of communication here, because mostly those that don't know about our existence are the ones that participated with the Israelis in our crucifixion. But at least in theory, I mean, we would accept them to our new empire. Also, there is the issue of the people, men and women, that were the direct victims of the cruelty of the Israeli intelligence community. And I will explain shortly how exactly, I mean, who are these people and how can we identify these people. And the third type, perhaps, I mean, this is the least urgent, but I mean, perhaps also people from Venus, but this is, I mean, I've never been there, and it's not in my agenda to go there, so, and it's not something that, I mean, so that's why I even didn't think about it. You know, initially I said two types, then I thought maybe, who knows, like in the future, who knows, maybe there will be, like, I mean, I do not rule this out completely. I mean, I need to think about it some more, but it's not, I mean, it's not out of the question, but it's not for now. I mean, maybe for the future. So, where will this empire be located? The answer is right here. That's, I mean, literally right where I am right now. Some people tell me, though, we see this hostel for homeless people, it's not a good place for you. It's full of, like, you know, criminals and hardship, and you need to change place. Maybe you move to live with your mother, maybe rent an apartment, ask the judge for, you know, maybe you'll get, like, I mean, you know, better terms, like in your arrest, and you can maybe like rent an apartment, maybe with supervision of your mother. So I say to this question, I mean, correct. I asked the judge, and he said, this is exactly what's going to happen. You will live with your mother. Your mother is Gaia. I am your father, the judge, and your mother is Gaia. And you're going to live with Gaia. Just like that. But it will be right here. Literally right here. Right where I am. I'm not going to move 1 meter. But yes, I asked the judge for better terms of this arrest, and he answered that he is willing to give me better terms, and yet again I will live with Mother Gaia, but it will be right here. No movement will be done, not even 1 meter. We are done with being fugitives. We are done with hoping that another place will not be inhabited by predators that want to eat our flesh and blood. We cannot wait forever to find if there is such a place. Certainly, among Israelis it's impossible. But it's also not possible among other nations, because nobody moved an arm or a leg. And moving, even if it was possible, and it's not right now impossible, but even if it were possible to move to a place that did not move an arm or a leg towards us, will inevitably be, placing ourselves in another jail, another prison where we'll be treated less than farm animals. And I was treated less than farm animal all my life, and it's only getting worse, because the Israelis and their cooperators don't, nothing that they will take from me will satisfy their hunger. I need to be the mattress under their boots. I need to lick their boots. I need to be homeless and penniless, and they will infect me with all their diseases, and I should say thank you, and then they will cook me and eat me and my children as well. Nothing will satisfy the hunger of humans for our flesh and blood. So there is no point in going or moving to another place in Israel, and as we've seen in the last 4.5 years, there is no point with the hope of moving to another country, because we will only be further hunted. Our place is right here, literally right here where I am. So you ask, but there is a problem that this place is full of Israelis, and you were having like a problem to adjust yourself to the life of the Israelis. We do not know who is to blame, but certainly there is kind of like a mismatch. You do not fit your place, and you can, I mean, you could not, like, I mean, you couldn't, I mean, like, change your attitude or behaviors to be aligned with what is expected by the Israelis. So how are you going to overcome this problem? So the answer is simple. There will be no Israelis very, very soon. And I mean no Israelis. And when I say no Israelis, I mean it just like that. Zero Israelis. Literally zero. Ages 0 and above. Ages 0 and above. There will be zero Israelis. Zero Israelis. Very, very soon. And the problem will be solved. No more problem of matching or fitting to the social and cultural environment of Israel, because there will be no Israel. The place will be radioactive swamp. Radioactive swamp. The radioactivity in the historical territory of Israel will be such that any Homo sapiens that will even get closer will die on the spot. On the spot. What about adjacent nations? How is it possible that such a radioactivity will be all over Israel, but other nations, like adjacent nations, will not suffer? Of course they will suffer. They will suffer tremendously so. I do not know to what radius, but yes, it is impossible, and it will not happen because it's impossible. And because of other reasons that I mentioned in this channel, in other channels, but it's not the time to repeat. And it also, this actually, was shown in my art. This kind of prophecy was actually represented in a very large oil painting of Israel and the adjacent nations. Of course, they will suffer tremendously. So there will be no need. I mean, the borders of Israel will stay the same, but there will be no border patrol or border military presence in the borders, because no human being will be there. It will be unlivable to any Homo sapiens, even remotely so. And our problem will be solved. There will be no longer a problem of mismatch between us and the Israelis. We will no longer need to think how can we give them even more while they take our flesh and blood, while they eat us and boil us, torture us without end, and they only want more. More judges, more social workers, more police, while they eat our flesh and blood, while they crucify us, and we do not understand what can be done even more to them. So this problem will soon, very soon, it's already started to be solved, as you know, and the solution will be completed very, very soon. There will be no more Israelis. Nothing, not even one. Ages 0 and above. So how can Titans live here? Because they can live here. So how can humans, those that are, I say, that are the victims of the Israeli Security Service, how can they live here? There aren't many like this that fall under this category. There are very few, and these few will become Titans. How is it possible? Barely an inconvenience. Barely an inconvenience. Very, very simple. You only need to ask God. That's it. It's very easy. Barely an inconvenience. Just like that. You ask God, and God will say, yes, this is a good idea. This should be done. Barely an inconvenience. You think that for him that, created the heaven and the earth, that stretched the sky over the land, you think that for him the difference between humans and Titans is that big? For him, it's almost impossible to distinguish between them, as they're so similar. It's like can you distinguish between these two? I mean, but I mean, if you have good eyes, you might, because there is actually a difference. If you see the numbers, so it's like 351 and 330, because they kind of standardized numbers for acrylics. But I mean, do you believe me that I can actually take a spoon of one of these and put like on a plate, and a spoon of another, and then mix one of the hips like with another color, and so it will look just like the other one? Do you believe that it's possible? Of course it's possible. It's super easy. This is how easy it is for him that created the heaven and the earth to change humans to titans, or vice versa. Barely an inconvenience. Barely an inconvenience. They are almost indistinguishable. The change is minor, super minor, extremely minor. How will we be able to live in such a post-apocalyptic place? It will be extremely easy and very fun. No more predators all around us. No more homosexuals and pedophiles that try to rape us. No more social workers that take our children from us. No more judges that, I mean, indefinitely judges for things that no one even know why. No more. No more of this. It will be extremely easy. Extremely easy. Extremely easy to live without being infected with diseases all day and all night. Extremely easy to live without torture of electricity and sound. It will be literally paradise right here, right where I am. In Tel Aviv, right here, paradise will start. Who will teach our daughters? I will do it. I will do it. Yes, just like that. Yes, like the Swiss Robinson Crusoe, whatever its names, or there's like a modern movie, Captain whatever, Captain something, like with a French family that lives like in the jungle or something. I don't remember. Pretty good movie. So I would say that it's going to be much easier than that. Much easier. Way easier than that. Of course, we will have tremendous amount of not only real estate but property that humans in their kindness will live after them. I mean, I don't know if you are fine with that, humans, but I mean, it's just, I mean, you're not going to take it with you to the next world, so we are going to use it, so we will have enough. And with time we will prepare, take control of whatever infrastructure that we need, and we'll know how to maintain it. I assure you that it will not be that difficult, and of course, with time we will also improve it. And this includes everything that you think that is actually required. Electricity, food, everything. This will actually be the first independent state that exists on the historical land of Israel since a long time ago. Since a long time ago. Many hundreds of years ago. Since many, it's debatable when was actually the last time that there was an independent, sovereign and self-sufficient state on the land of Israel. But for certain, no one in his right mind will say that such a state existed in the last couple of 100 years. So this will be the true Alt-Neuland. Our Alt-Neuland. And it will be very easy, much easier to do that than to continuously live under the sword and the boot of the Israelis and their American bosses. No one from the outside will want to be here because this will mean immediate death. So what will the other nations do? They will mind their own business, and their businesses will be very difficult, because the earth is currently bombarded by aliens, and this is not going to stop. It's only getting worse. As I said many times, say goodbye to radioactive material. This process already started decades ago, and it will now be completed. Say goodbye. You, from now on, only fossil fuels and whatever green energy you can, construct. Also say goodbye to food. Like, no more food. I mean, at least nothing that goes. I mean, if you can sustain yourself with things that do not go, I mean, fine. But everything that goes will be eaten by the Full Metal Jacket. So what are we going to eat? Food that goes on the land, of course. What can people eat? I mean, humans eat, or humanoids eat food that goes on the land. So how will the Full Metal Jacket not eat our food? Very simply, I will just ask him not to eat it. Barely an inconvenience. Barely an inconvenience. You just need to ask. Please do not eat our food. And they will, I mean, I'm sure they will accept this demand because, or this request, because we need to live as well. We cannot, I mean, people cannot steal our food all our life. It's enough. It was already done so much. But outside of Israel, or whatever new name that we will give it, I'm open to suggestions. Outside of Altnoy land, people will need to find alternative things to eat, not food that goes on the ground. Most probably it will be other people. But yes, this is not sustainable like way to live. So after some time there will be a problem. But I mean, I hope that you find a way. I mean, we will be there for you to, I mean, you know, to give us our emotional support. Only words, only mouths and tongues. Not an arm or a leg will be moved, I swear to God. I swear to God. Not an arm or a leg will be moved. Only words. Only words will be given, but in a very graceful way. We will be there for you. We will see you starve and eat each other, and we will send you our best condolences or whatever. Hopes and prayers. Hopes and prayers. We will send you tremendous amount of hopes and prayers. Not an arm or a leg will be moved, I swear. This will be the first law of the land. You do not move arm or a leg to help humans, and humans will require a tremendous amount of help. Because this attack by the aliens is only beginning, and it will not end soon. Starvation is going to be the standard condition all around the globe. So with regards to the question, what are other nations going to do? They will have enough to do without thinking about Israel. They will think about themselves. I assure you, they will think about themselves. So this is in the plan in general. I hope you find it logical. Now with regards to art. Oh, you know what? Let's start with the other subject, because all three subjects are related actually. So the issue of the symbolic art. I should say that I found myself now much better than before, kind of like, I mean, understanding my early divination regarding the Tao. Because like, I mean, maybe 4 years ago or 3 years ago, when I started this journey, I felt like very closely related to the Chinese Tao, even though I didn't understand why. I don't think that I knew about. I knew very little. I don't think I've read, like, you know, the like modern translation of Lao Tse, and I also know that Martin Buber, a person that I admired, and I speak about him quite a bit, but in the earlier post, not lately. Lately, I didn't speak about him, but I mean, he was like a subject of quite a bit of posts earlier in this journey. So famously, he actually studied Chinese and translated the Lao Tse. I mean, the first to translate Lao Tse to Hebrew, which is admirable. By the way, it was the 14th language that he learned. But it's, I mean, it's nice that he learns Chinese. No, not easy thing, even for a person that already speaks. I mean, that can read and write in 13 languages. So right now I feel more than before that I kind of like, I mean, related to the Tao. Now I will explain something that, I mean, I think about in the last couple of days. I'm going through a process in the last week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, that like reevaluating my kind of like, goals in this world. Of course, it's manifested as the main kind of like practical change is what I've just described. Of course. But I would say that even in a broader way, I understand a few things that I didn't understand before. And I understood something that is both kind of like, as they say in Hebrew, מבאס, a bummer thing, at least initially, but also it gives you great, like psychological relief or psychological hope, it puts you in a higher place, like psychologically. So what is this thing? I thought about my predecessor and also my predecessors, like in plural, and there are all sorts of stories that I referenced in this channel and in previous uploads about all sorts of stuff that they did, but very quickly. Like they planned very meticulously, like a plan, and then they executed. Perhaps they presumably they could like live in Israel for decades and suffer tremendously so, and and all this time, learning, I learn now, learn about reality and learn about the situation and learn about the symbolic language, and at last, their actual action or like the pinnacle of what they did, it's not the only thing that they've done all over during their life. Of course, they did much more. It was a life of crucifixion, and suffering, life of a prophet, but like the practical thing that they've done could have like taken place in a very short period of time, where like all the changes that where they executed their plan very quickly, and lately I came to understand that this is probably not my course of action. This will not be the way that I will leave mark on this world. Most probably. Not that there's everything wrong with that, but it's just that I came to understand that it's probably not my way. And that most probably what God wants for me is to live in this world for quite a bit of time. And this is actually it's not trivial, obvious, and in kind of a paradoxical way, it's like some would argue that it's even like more difficult than there is like a famous phrase in Brothers Karamazov of Dostoevsky that kind of like a person that is presumably very religious, but he hates humans. So it's kind of like so he says, if only God wanted me to die for humanity, I would have done so. Without hesitation, like I would gladly do it. But living like with humans, this is horrible. They are disgusting. So, and this is, it's true. I can see, I understand the psychology behind this Dostoevsky. Yes. Sometimes when you are very pious or righteous, or better say self-righteous, you think that how great would it be like to do something great for humanity, but actually be with humans, this is, it's gross. You cannot, stand the existence of one of them. Like with all of them, they are disgusting. Humans are disgusting. To live like with them or for them, this is disgusting. Yeah, so yeah, I understand it. I can sympathize with this notion. But if I need to live and I feel like in a long time and prosper here, and I also understood very quickly that it's not that like I have a mission in Venus. Like, I understood that those that want me to go to Venus are the evil people, and the Israelis that and other people that what they actually want is to reestablish the the institution of the Black Knights, and I've spoken about it quite a bit. It was like a complete saga, so I don't want to elaborate now. But I mean, I understood that this is not, of course, it's evil. Even though, as I said in this video, I do not like rule out that maybe in the future there will be connection between the planets, and even like people will, of course, you know, but not for now. My place is here. If it was Venus, I would have been born in Venus. Now, another thing should be said, and this is related to what to idea of like, I mean, quick, like, you know, actions that culminate like in a movie, like, I mean, like you an example for such, you know, a quick set of actions is, I mean, the culmination, I mean, the last part of the 16th chapter of the Bicycle Saga. Like, I mean, you can, of course, watch it in this channel, which is very dramatic, like, in the end, like a series of dramatic events, and, you know, like in a movie. Now, this is a historical event. It wasn't, I mean, it's an oversimplification of historical events, but if you would have made a movie out of it, this would have been considered as historical movie. I mean, it's close enough to reality to be considered historical movie, okay? But what's the problem with such a series of events that, I mean, like in an action movie? That, as I said many times in the Bicycle Saga, in this, like, the 16th chapter, and many times after that, it's not a complete solution. Like, I mean, it's not that, I mean, after that, like, you know, people live happily ever after, and it's not that even they live, like, you know, with peace for 40 years or 20 years or whatever, like, you know, in the Book of Judges. I mean, after there is kind of like you know, like you know, the final conflict, you know, the climax, and then, I mean, there is like 20 years of peace and quiet. No, it was not like that, and it was never like that. And I even explained why. I mean, after the Bicycle Saga, things from some aspects only became worse, and particularly for me. Like, I was born just after that, and my life, I mean, is tainted by these actions of my predecessors. I mean, especially, and it's not that and again, I mean, it's not that I do not say that he was wrong. I'm sure that, I mean, if I were in his place, I would have done the same, because it's so complicated. I mean, it's very complicated. Like, it's not easy to know what should you do, what are the correct things that should be done. And many times, I mean, yes, you fix like one situation, but you create other problems. And that's a problem. I mean, that's a problem. Now, another thing that should be said, that for a long time I understood that the crux of the problem of the subjugation is the existence of the gates, because, I mean, it's used for the slave trade. But I also understood that, I mean, that it's probably not, it doesn't make sense to destroy the gates completely. I mean, there are, you know, ancient, amazing things that are there for a reason. And also, I mean, they can be used for good purposes. And also, it should be said that, I mean, the problem is humans. Humans should be, I mean, annihilated, not the gates. And why do I say that? Because, I mean, many times I thought about all sorts of, like, I mean, and this was referenced in this channel, I thought about all sorts of, like, a way, maybe ways to close the gate, to close the gates. I mean, so there is a question of how do you do it? I mean, but if the people are out there, I mean, so do you want, like, these scumbags to stay there? I mean, and only after, I mean, only very lately I understood it, and this was, I mean, came after, like, I mean, meditations on the nature of the gates and their relation to natural phenomenon, mostly the moon, because they are all moon gates in a way. Again, I've never seen anyone in my life. I've never seen the gates. I mean, everything that they say about it, it's all speculations, but, I mean, they are scholarly speculations. They are based on years of thinking about, you know, the stuff and scientific work and many other things that I've said, like, in the past. So, I mean, so just, I mean, I don't need to actually see it, I mean, or go through it, like, I mean, in order to say, I mean, and most people that did it, I mean, they know nothing of what I say, because, I mean, you don't need to, like, you know, you don't need to, you know, to taste the shit that's on the ground in order to know that it's a shit and not like a chocolate or jam. I mean, if it's on the ground, it's probably shit. So, I mean, I don't need to go through the gate in order to know, I mean, many stuff about it, and not even to see it. But I do understand that it's here for a reason or for purposes, and I also understand that the usage, I mean the abuse of the other place was always related to the existence of the cherubs, like to my own people. And this something that I understood only very lately, but it gives you some kind of answer to the question of like, I mean, why was it not always used? And the answer is that it probably cannot be used always unless there is a cherub. That's why I'm so important to the Israelis. Like I was always important to the Israelis, even before they like after my children were born, they discovered things about me that they didn't understand, that surprised them. Like and since then I'm like subjected to much more torture and and intimidation, threatening, like violence. So since they were born, I mean, my life became hell. But they knew that there is a relation between my existence and the existence and the gates, probably since I was born or very very early. They understood it, and this had all sort of like, I mean, this had all sort of implications on my life, and I discussed some of it, like, I mean, in this channel, in previous channels. So there is a relationship between this. I need to be. I mean, I understood long ago that, I mean, I'm manipulated by like unknown powers. Like, I mean, and that, to be in a certain place, or to walk certain places, or to speak, or to shut up, or and this was without relation to, I mean, to the fact that, I mean, they didn't know that I have so many robots in my body. Like, some people don't even know to this day. They just, I mean, try to hide me and to eat me without thinking, like, knowing that I'm special in any way. Because this can be done to other Venusians, and it's done to other Venusians. This is exploitation. So some people to this day do not know, but so there are at least two different like things about me that were not connected in the minds of the Israelis. Like the first, that my existence relates to the operation of the gates, and this was probably known since I was born or very close to it. And the second is that I have a ton of in their conceptualization a ton of tea in my body. People don't know how, but they don't care. From their purposes, just something to abuse. They don't really think what's, yellow neros, red ones, and all the things that I speak about, like in this channel, they don't care. But they discover that yes, I can do things that other Venusians cannot do. Presumably, I'm not Venusians, but certainly, I am a father to children, and I do not need to eat the drug in order for it to multiply in my body, and I've never been to Venus, and I have no source of this. I'm not charged by any way. I don't have a problem with any. And also it should be said. Maybe let's not forget the obvious. Titans have problem with vision and with light because Venus, is covered with clouds, I assume. But most probably they have like problem with bright light. Like my guess that certainly in Israel with so much flux from the sun, you don't find them like walking outside a lot. At least not without hat and umbrella, and also they don't have the same color vision as humans. Like they have inferior color vision, and maybe they see other types, parts of the spectrum, but not the same as humans. And it's manifestly true that I have no problem with light at all. I always walk outside in the bright of day. Since I was a child, this is my hobby. Like long walks during the night and the day in the heat of the summer, and no problem at all. And my spectrum of vision is exactly the same as humans. It's varied among humans, but generally it's the same as humans. But people don't. In Israel, no one cares about facts. They care about their own ass, and their own tummy, like how to eat and how to rape. Anyway, most of the things that were discovered about me are not from the Israeli perspective essential to why I'm such an asset for them. The fact that I'm an asset for them is related to the operation of the gates, and it was like it since I was born, but it was always kept a secret for me. At some point I understood it, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and and then I started to hypothesize that, first of all, that there are many gates in Israel, not only one, and second, that they might be in places close to where I was manipulated to live throughout my life. Like most certainly in Tel Aviv, maybe even just right here. I don't know. Like this is South Tel Aviv, like Israel Guri 10 Israel Guri Street. But I mean, most certainly there is in Tel Aviv, because I lived in Tel Aviv like for a long time, and most certainly in Jerusalem, where I also lived for quite a bit. So I was kind of like I was surrounded by people of the intelligence community all my life, and yes, they affected me, especially since I didn't know that they affect me. So, I mean, when you watch like the places where I spent time doing my life, my grandmother's like house in Ramat HaSharon, at Lamim Street, 15 at Lamim Street, or where I was born, Ramat Aviv Gimel, Betzuri Street, or Brazil Street in Ramat Aviv, whenever I spend time, Rehavia, or Har HaTzofim, if you consider these places, certainly, in the vicinity of these places, there must be more than one gate, for certain. And maybe there is one right here. How can I know? It's never used when I'm there. That's one of the reasons why they always kind of manipulate me to go outside. So why do they put me under arrest? Because they are crazy, and because they're fighting between each other, and it's part of a fight within the Israeli intelligence. So the use of the gates was always related to the existence of the cherub, and that's probably something that limited the usage of the gates since forever. Now, the real problem is not that the gates are open. The real problem is that humans cannot live with the cherub without making a boot out of him. And the answer to the problem is not closing the gate indefinitely, something that I can easily do. But this is not the answer to the problem. The answer to the problem is annihilation of all humans that live close to the gates. This is the answer to the problem. Because it's not that the people cannot live with the gates, they cannot live with me. I am the thing that makes them feel uncomfortable to a point that they want to cannibalize on me and rape me and crucify me forever. They cannot stand my existence, so they need to stop exist. Because if it's me or them, then it's me. If it's me and my daughters or the Israelis and every other cooperator of the Israelis, the answer is very simple. If it's one cherub and his two daughters, or I don't know how many hundreds of millions of humans, I assure you that no one from those that actually, have any say on the matter, like the higher-ups, among the higher-ups, there is no question here. I assure you, no one is even hesitant. There is no shred of hesitation among the people that actually have the ruling or the vote in this question of what's more important, the life of one cherub and his daughters, or several hundred millions of biological trash cans. Nobody thinks that the trash cans have any priority over the cherubs and his daughters. No one. It's not even a question. It's not even a consideration. I assure you, it's not even something to think about. This is life. This is reality. You need to come to terms with reality, and this is reality. So, as a conclusion from that, I no longer think that manipulation of the gates is something that is really required. And I thought about it quite a bit. I need to use symbolic language to change reality in a way that will give answer to the actual problem. And the problem is not the existence of a gate, but the Israelis and their cooperators. This is the problem, not the gates. Now, it also should be said, and this is related to the issue of the Tau, and this is something that I understood lately, but after a lot of thought during the last couple of days and weeks, is that there is always the question of when are the symbols in effect. So I understood that there is no warm up like time. As soon as you hang the pictures or put like the symbols in display, the sculptures or whatever, immediately it's in effect. But the effect is always gradual. It's always gradual. It's always something that is done like in a gradual way over time. Now, over how long it will actually happen, this is part of it. You can actually affect it as well. It's part of the symbolic language, and I've discussed it in the past. So it's not for now. And also that there is the issue of the night and the day. And this is something that I understood only like very lately, is that, but I've already said it, that it's probably beneficial, not only for the reason that I said, like I attributed it to the issue of like punishment and repentance, but it's probably beneficial to have different effects in the light, in the day and during the night. Not necessarily contradicting effect, but different effects. And it's only partly true because of the issue of like repentance and punishment, and that's like was the reason like why I initially thought that it's actually a good idea. But after some thought, I understood that it's probably almost always a good idea to have different effects during the night and during the day. Again, not necessarily conflicting, but different effects. And this has several reasons. So maybe I'll have a separate video only with this. On this. This is like an important topic and a complicated one. So maybe I'll probably like hold another video just on this topic. The topic of why is it like probably always or almost always beneficial to actually use the two walls, the night and the day, to create, on the same background, whether it's like in the human body or the Titan body or the Earth or the solar system, because there are all sorts of backgrounds. Understand that. It's actually as a standard, as a default, it's actually beneficial to have different effects. Sometimes contradictory, that something is reversed during the day but many times not contradictory, but just different. And I will speak about it at some other time. But this is true, and came to understanding that it's true in a general sense. Not, initially again, I thought about it like from the limited perspective of repentance and punishment. That if the punishment is it's never like something that is kind of done like the Israelis think that you can use the symbolic language to reset the robot, that he will be shocked, but it's never a shock. It's always something gradual. So it's also as a punishment, it's also gradual. So you would want if the person is terminated, is done by the punishment, so it doesn't matter what so you can use only one wall, like the night or the day. It doesn't matter what's on the other wall, because it's done. So, but if he has the opportunity potentially to repent, and to reverse it, then it makes sense to actually give them, her or him, the opportunity to do so by giving another effect, somehow contradictory or completely contradictory to what was done before that. And if they choose not to repent, the contradictory effect might be in itself a punishment. And this was already discussed, why it's like that. But this is true in a general sense, that this actually is beneficial to have different effects, different alternating effects. Not necessarily conflicting, but different alternating effects. But I'll discuss it in another video. So, as I said, this kind of understanding is both a bummer, something that is kind of a little bit devastating, but also it's something very happy, very boosting your morale. So this is conflicting. So how is it possible? So I will explain. It's a bummer because I'm suffering for so long. I'm under torture and pain, imprisonment and poverty and more and everything. I do not see my daughters, and like, and it's so cool that, one of the many lies that, presumably, like, I'm infected with disease and I cannot see the daughters because, need to be cured. This is ridiculous. I'm infected all the time with these diseases, every hour, because the Israelis are Nazis. What is this got to do with my daughters? Anyway, I'm stuck in pain. So yes, as a person that is like so deep inside, like the pain and suffering, of course, I fantasize about deliverance by God that will be immediate, like Yeshuat Hashem K'eref Ein, as they say. Like the deliverance of God is done like in 1 second. You're free. Like yes, I would have wanted that, and probably it's not going to happen because the deliverance is already happening. Like it's already a process that was started. Not in general sense long ago, but even like in my own doing this kind of like ministry, like in the last 4.5 years, things happened in Israel. They try to hide it, but it's clear that their intelligence services are on the gutters, and I've discussed it like in particular how this is actually manifested like in ways that tangible ways that they cannot hide it completely. Like the fact that that the level of the operators and the level of like the people that create propaganda is deteriorating all the time, and not that it started out very high. It started it was shithead like to metal cockroaches like in the beginning, and from there it's only went down and down, like digging deeper into the pool of the cesspit, disgusting perverts and scum of the earth. So this is something evident that the propaganda is getting like more disgusting as time progresses, and this is of course because they lose people. They lose people among those ranks. So they may have to do with. And this is also true to the zombies that are surrounding me all my life. It's clear that the zombies. They have less and less zombies, and they retreat, and they have no option than to use zombies that in the past they wouldn't have used. Like look at me right now. I don't even speak with them. They're just like tifora, like background, like to my life, like props. They're props, props in this TV show. It's best just not when they speak. You just it's best not to even like don't listen, don't answer them, and it's props. But at the level of the props is kind of like it's not nice to speak about, it's clear that the zombies already, are in continuous defeat, because the quality is like, it's embarrassing, it's like, zombies like in B-movie, like from the 1960s, like horror movie, like, from the 50s or the 60s. This is like what, there's zombies, like the actors, that are all around you. It's like the 1950s zombies. It's it's embarrassing. So it's already started, but there will not be like a point where complete victory will be achieved. And so this is a little bit of a bummer, but also exhilarating, or it makes you it gives you a boost to morale at the same time, because I no longer have like the feeling that I must like like my predecessor think of a plan that must be executed like with tremendous precision. That nothing that I do with regard to symbolic language or in any other way is in itself particularly important. Everything is important, but in a continuous way, like these videos. I think that I speak so much and conduct so many experiments, and I publish everything that it's on my mind, and so I am fully transparent. And I think that this is like an example of a continuous effort that I am doing for years, and I will probably continue to do, not for humans, but for future generations. And no one video is particularly important. There is no one like microscopic review that you see something that is absolutely amazing, that is more important than everything else. And there is no no kind of theory that is particularly important. After so many videos, I cannot say that one was I particularly liked more than others. I think that the Neverland video is from 4 months ago or 5 is kind of important, even though it's very short, like only 30 minutes, and it's just one isolated episode. And it's kind of important because it's answer to a question that, I mean, might be asked by future generations regarding the nature of the state of Israel. That's why I think it's kind of important. But other than that video, the Neverland, I think, I mean, and I had like so many videos. I mean, there is no one that I particularly, I mean, some are more interesting than others. And some, I mean, they are just theories that prove to be wrong. Okay. But I mean, not one is extremely important, because this is a continuous effort for my part. And the fact that there is no one that is particularly important doesn't mean that all of them are not important. I think that they are important for future generations to understand what's happened, and to understand both like the scientific issues and the social issues and the historical issues. But it's like, in the totality they are important. It's not that one particular brick is like that if you delete it, I mean, the whole, like, you know, construction will fall, or that, I mean, no, not at all. And this understanding, I mean, gives you some kind of, I mean, so it removes the urgency from what you do, because you understand that, I mean, you will not like win the war in one swift, like, you know, movement of the sword. No. Still, I mean, it doesn't mean that you can slack off, because, I mean, still, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, the things you do have effect, but they will have cumulative effect, like continuous gradual effect. And I should think about, like, I mean, not of quick wins, but of changing the situation in a fundamental way that will allow me and my daughters to live in this world without constant, like, threat of predators that threatening our lives. And this requires fundamental change, and it does not, I mean, specifically, or I mean, particularly require change of, I mean, things that were created to be related to natural phenomena. Like, I mean, you know, there is day or night, there is like the moon, and, you know, so, and there are stargates that are, I mean, that are to Venus, that are, and to other places that are related to it. And all of these issues have reasons, and I'm only starting to learn about it. Like, I mean, it's like, as I said yesterday, it's a whole new subject, a topic that I'm only starting to learn, and it's not urgent actually, but it's very important. Like the default, the natural symbols, I call it. I spoke about it yesterday and the day before. Again, it's a huge new subject for me. Like the understanding that I mean, for many of the works of the Neos, I mean, there is like a natural symbol, like, or natural occurrence in reality that can be, I mean, seen by humans if they know what to look for, and that actually is, that symbolizes, I mean, the default action of the Neos, and that anything that you do is deviation from the natural state of affairs. So, first of all, I mean, you shouldn't. I mean, the obvious, I mean, you know, implication is that you shouldn't do, I mean, give them many orders, and this is actually pretty obvious anyway. That, I mean, in you know, in a good society, like, I mean, you know, in a normal and like, I mean, like a benevolent society, I mean, you wouldn't tell them to do anything, like, I mean, at all. I mean, maybe they can be used, like, you know, in manufacturing processes and things like that, but I mean, you would not like change like the laws of nature, or I mean, the laws of how things like operate in this world, I mean, by using the Neos at all, because this is, I mean, by default, it's deviation from nature. And I now understand that it's deviation from nature in more than one way. Like, it's like, I mean, literally, I mean, something natural needs to be overridden by like another symbol. So we're taking this into account. What I should do is not to think like how to win quickly, but how to slowly change the, I mean, as they say, שינוי מקום מגורים. Like, תביעה לשינוי מקום מגורים, which means like a petition, I mean, to change where you live. So, I mean, so that should be my main goal, to change where I live, but not in the way that I thought about it until like a week ago, which means to move, but to change the place that I live in. Like, I live in a place, so the place should be changed, so I would be able to breathe without constant threat to my life. I need to change this place where I live, so it will be a place that is not full of predators, and no constant threat to my life, and no constant robbery and theft and humiliation. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I need to move, not even 1 meter. I mean, no, I can be just here, literally just here, but the place will be changed. So there will be no more predators, no more threats, no more noise, no more violence, no more humiliation, and no more crucifixion of children. This should be my goal. And the symbolic construction should support this role. Now, another thing that is kind of like stemmed from all of this with regard to symbolic language, that it is better to use, like, so some people ask, okay, so if now you maintain that, that is like one side, like one wall is the night and one wall is the day, so why sometimes more than two symbols are needed in each wall? Because I've said, this was already demonstrated, but I've said it in the past several times, that not necessarily two, you don't need necessarily to use two, maybe there can be 3 or 4, on the same column, like it relates to the same kind of like background, like the human body, for example, like you see 3 like in this wall, or with the red background. So, and sometimes there can be more than 3, even 4, so why? So the answer to that is that sometimes it's needed because you want to specify things with regards to the process. For example, let's say that you want to close the gates. So maybe there are 10 gates and you want to close all of the 10. But what do you want to do? Like to close one and then to close the second and the third and the fourth? Or do you want all of them to close together slowly, gradually, like to minimize? It's not the same. And this probably is difficult to explain in 2 symbols, but it's very easy to explain how do you want to do it in 3 symbols. Like, it's almost obvious how to do it in 3 symbols. Like if you want them to close one after the other, so you just need to, to show 10 open like in the first one, like 9 open in the second one and 0 open in the third one. Or if you want them to minimize together, you show like but it's much difficult to think how to do it like with only 2. And there are other reasons why many times you actually need to show how how you want the process to be done. So there are many examples, but this is the general idea. Now, there is also the issue of what's the starting condition. And the more I think about it, again, with more in line with the spirit of the Tao, I understand that the process should be I don't remember what's the program in term, idiomptency, משהו כזה, idiompetent, I don't remember the English word, but the process should be like that it doesn't matter when it started, in what stage. It doesn't matter if you start during the night or during the day or at any point during the night. That you need to think about it as a process that, whatever point in time that you are, it will result in the required in how you want it to be. So you need to take into account that it will be a gradual process, that it will take probably more than 1 day and 1 night. In Earth. In Venus, it's different. In Venus, the nights and the days are so long that all of this is also true, but in a different way, actually in even stronger way, because they have it's like different, different existence, like the night and day, because it's so long, it's half a year, like night and that, like 7 months, like 7 Earth months night and then 7 Earth months like day. So it's so different that first of all, for certain you would not want different effects, like during the night and during the day, and also it's different culture. But in Earth, it's also there is also important. It's also important. The day and the night are important. And it's also the different culture. but in a different way. I mean, I cannot really, I mean, I need to think about it more to articulate how exactly it's different, but intuitively it's different. And things can happen more than one day, more one night, and you need to build the symbols, to think about it, like how to build it in a way that it doesn't matter at what point of the process, I mean, you are, it will be ended, or continue to will be resulted in what you want. Without, not knowing, even without knowing, like, what is this current stage, whatever stage, that you are right now, still, the symbolism will be in effect, and it's actually helpful to have different symbols between night and day for that purpose. Actually, it's another reason why, you should have, probably it's beneficial to have different symbols in order to facilitate the fact that, that it will not, that it will, like, have a cumulative effect that you want, with disregard to the question, like, what's the starting, like, position. The starting position is not only a question of timing, but it's also a question of, like, who is the person that is involved. Like, maybe you want to create, like, a worm of some sort in the body of a person. So is the person already have, like, the egg in their body, or maybe they already they are full of this worm, or maybe they have nothing. So so the symbol should be, constructed in a way that the question will not mean, it doesn't matter, that it will all be resulted, like, in the required, like, target state of, like, of this person that is full of worms, the type you want. Now let's speak about worms. So I spoke about it very briefly this morning, and I do not know, there is much that I don't know. People ask me questions about it, and I cannot answer because I do not know. But I can tell you what I do know, and what I was actually, I actually, like, I have a lot of evidence, and part of it was shown in this channel in the last 10 months, and much of it was discussed. So I'll tell you in a very general sense what's the issue with the worms. There are all sorts of worms in the human body. And you, many of you that ate the tea already feel the effects of the worms in your body, and this is probably not nice. And the Neros are masters of, like, creating worms. I've seen it, very, just from the beginning. Worms, of course, was the first life form that I created, like, with the Neros, that is not microscopic. It can be seen in the naked eye. Of course, this was amazing worms. Not biological ones. They can swim in oil, and, and like, alcohol and antiseptic material, and they are resistant to electrolysis, up to some point, of course, but so this was just from the beginning, and it's extremely easy for them for Neros to create worms. But after that, we've created, like, much more sophisticated and impressive life forms, like the Full Metal Jacket, and probably the spider, and all sorts of other stuff. But there are two specific kind of worms that are created by the Neros and should be discussed because they have special importance. One is the one that I call the train, or the sausage. I call it the sausage, but the Israelis call it the train. But it's have a very distinctive look. But there are other microbes that look like that, actually. It's not the only microbe that look like that, but it's got, like, it looks like a sausage or like a train. And there is another one that I call the bicycle bacteria, or the bicycle microbes. And some people suggested that these are actually the same, but from different, or maybe different, like, phases, like because indeed they have different phases in their creation. Like, many life forms, they don't look the same when they are, like, just born, or old, or or matured, or small. This is true for both of these microbes. So some people say maybe it's just different, or that maybe just I look at it, like, when you watch it in the under the microscope, everything is 2D, of course, but because you watch, like, a picture, but it's never 2D, it's actually 3D, and so maybe it's like, it's something, it's a matter of rotation, like, of angle of look of watching, but no, it's just not true. These are two separate microbes for certain. They don't even look remotely the same. It's not the same at all. Just now, I received threat from the Israeli intelligence that, that my daughters are presumably infected with the bicycle bacteria, and so, it's kind of a threat. So, you see, this is, because, with this regard to see how Nazi are these people. They don't care at all about threatening you and actually doing such things. But just, I mean, from the objective point of view, completely, with disregard to ethics, I would say these people do not know the difference between the bicycle bacteria or the phone, I call it the phone bacteria or the bicycle bacteria, and the train or the sausage. And they don't even know what they are. They are not the same thing for sure. They are not the same thing, even though both are created by the neros and both are worms, parasitic worms that can live inside the human body. But no, they are not the same thing. And both are very special. So I will explain. The train or the sausage, but they don't look at all the same. I mean, not even nearly. I mean, again, they have different looks, like wherever, I mean, how big they are or like how mature they are, or in different like stages of their life, but they don't look the same. It's like when you watch under the microscope, they don't look the same at all. Like under like regular microscope, 664 magnification or 150 magnification. I'm certain that if you watch like an electron microscope, you probably see amazing stuff. And I mean, the difference is only getting much larger. But they're not the same. It's not the same life form, not at all. So the train or the sausage was an engineered life form that was created by the Israelis using the neros, because they can do such thing, or at least they knew how to do it in the past, and maybe they just have it now. You know, they have many samples of it, but I'm not sure that they even know how they've done it in the past, because in general they don't have much knowledge about these robots. Like, I mean, they mostly use it as a drug. But yes, in the past, probably, I mean, or maybe still today, they have some knowledge about it. Like there are some people like in the Mossad and the Shabak that, I mean, can, have the mental capacity to buy the simplest microscope, like, in the store, and, to conduct some research, I guess. So yes, they've done that. And also they can use the neros for manufacturing processes, even if they don't know exactly how it works. They do have knowledge how to create radioactive isotopes from these neros. I mean, and they sell it all over the world. So it's not that they completely ignorant with, I mean, to the fact that these are not just, it's not just a tea or coffee, but it's actually robots that prepare stuff. Or at least, I mean, maybe if not robots, maybe if they don't have this conceptualization, at least they conceptualize it maybe like as a magical elixir that can create other stuff, but not only be eaten, because they create radioactive material from it. So they also created this life form. It's a very disgusting life form that is parasitic, and it's in a way, it's a way to control like their slaves, the people that they want to enslave. Because when you have it, it's incredibly difficult to get rid of it, and it poses all sorts of limitation on the person. I don't know exactly what. If you ask whether I was infected with this train, with this sausage, so the answer is every day. I mean, I'm always infected with all the diseases that you can even think about it. It's funny because sometimes, I mean, people, the Israeli intelligence, I mean, they threaten me that if I continue to speak, like, and I will not stop like speaking, they will like infect me with HIV. And this is laughable. I mean, do you know how many times I was infected with HIV by the Israeli intelligence? I mean, it's like, I mean, it's a daily thing. Like, I mean, so, I mean, what else is new? Of course they infected me with the sausage worm and with HIV and whatever you are. Just name it, there is like when I was a child, I really liked Three Men in a Boat, like, the book of Jerome K. Jerome. So like in one of the first chapter, maybe the second chapter, like the protagonist like went to the British Library, which is like adjacent to the British Museum, and it opens like like a book of like a encyclopedia or like of human diseases. I mean, according to the alphabet, and he reads everything like from start to end, and he says that, I mean, every diseases like on the book. Like, he read like what's the symptoms, and he came to the conclusion that he actually has it. Like everything. The only thing, I mean, even Tashnik Susim, which was the last one, like according to the alphabet, which is, I mean, at least in the Hebrew alphabet. I don't know how it's translated to English, but it's, of course, the original is in English, but I've never read it in English, although I've read it like translation many times. But I mean, it's a horse disease. So he read the symptoms of the horse disease, and even that one he came to the conclusion that he has it. The only one disease in the whole book that he didn't like found the symptoms matching his own was Avit Rechem in Hebrew, which is something to do with the uterus, like, I mean, something that he doesn't even have, like, a limb that or an organ that he doesn't even have. So yes, he doesn't have it. So I mean, so yeah, we went to the doctor and he told him that, I mean, I have like all the diseases in the books beside Avit Rechem. Like, and the reason I am here is that, I mean, I don't understand why do I don't have it. Like, I mean, what's wrong with me that I don't have like this, you know, the uterus like diseases, and I have all other diseases. So, I mean, so the doctors, I mean, give him like a written prescription and then send him away. And it's funny, you know what's in the prescription? And it's funny because actually at the time, like by the end of the 19th century, it was actually very common for doctors to write such prescriptions, but they no longer do it. It's something like, I mean, eat like you know, a Syrian steak every day and drink like half liter beer and walk outside, like, you know, to breathe fresh air and sleep well or something. I mean, if it was 20 years later, probably it was also would have contained, like, I mean, smoked 5 cigarettes or something like that. So I'm like the guy. I mean, every disease in the book, I was infected by it many times. So the question, so the threats are really stupid. Like, I mean, of course I was. I mean, of course there is nothing that I was not infected with. Nothing that you know of. Anyway, they use this to control their victims because it's something nasty that's probably very difficult to get rid of. And the best way to get like a relief from this, like, or to kind of like, I mean, to at least temporarily, I mean, get, not in my body. In my body, it's very quickly, I mean, eliminated. But then they infected me again with it. I mean, this is my life. But for regular people, and including Titans, it doesn't matter if they are Titans or Homo sapienses, probably the only way that they know of, like, how to be relieved from it, at least temporarily, is the tea, actually. So the tea is like an antidote to this disease, but it's not, it doesn't eliminate it completely, like only for some time. So if you're infected with, you are kind of like, I mean, you are a slave to the Israeli intelligence because no other nations, like, they have, like, they, at least not now, in the past it was different, but currently they do not, other nations do not produce the tea. They only, like, buy it from Israel. So and this is like, you know, there is the monopoly of the state, like, over the tea. So I mean, so it's a cool way to control their victims. This is the train. And it should be said that this is an extremely complicated life form that was engineered by the Israelis and created by the Neos, even though the Neos are used as antidote to that. Like, I mean, it's killed by the Neos when it's inside the body of humans, as all other germs. As you know, they are used as antibacterial agents inside the human body. Outside of the body, it's different. It's they are smart enough to act very differently when they are inside the human body or they are inside like an aquarium. I have like billions of them in various aquariums over here. Actually, inside aquariums, they coexist with microbes. Like, they share ecological niche, and they kill it and eat it, but they also allow it to multiply and like in a shared way. Like, they are smart enough to know the distinction, like, between. They are not stupid. Like, it's intelligent. These are like sentient creatures. Like, I mean, they have civilizations. In Venus, they create empires. Like, I mean, so they know what to do. So it's not the same thing. Actually, in aquariums, they coexist with the microbes, and I mean, it's beneficial for both sides. That they will. I mean, even though the Neos are like predators of the microbes, it's still, I mean, it's a complicated process, but it's documented in this channel, at least somehow. Of course, there is still much to be studied, and much research is left to be done. But I mean, it's not the same inside the human body and outside the human body. That's why, I mean, if you just ask yourself, how come if they created it, they are also killing it when they are in the body? So this is actually completely normal, and it was demonstrated many times in this channel. It's because, first of all, they know that. They know when they are inside the human body or when they are not. They can, I mean, they are aware of it, and and they understand that inside the human body, I mean, this is a parasite that will can kill like the host. But if it's outside the human body, it's a shared ecosystem, so it's beneficial. They will multiply, so the Neos will have things to eat. Like, I mean, and they can also multiply. So it's better not to hunt them to extinction. And all of this was, I mean, there are many videos in this channel that show, I mean, this kind of like how they act in the ecosystem. Now there is another life form which is entirely different. That is, I call it the bicycle bacteria, and I actually created it myself during the 10 months, but I didn't understand that that's what I do. But when you actually watch the videos, like, I mean, on like a retrospective, and also the many photographs that I've taken, because I've taken so many photographs like throughout this research, you actually understand two things. That first, I created this bacteria in doing many experiments, and also that I've created the Full Metal Jacket. But it's actually more, it's simpler to see like what's the Full Metal Jacket, because there are many very explicit symbols of the Full Metal Jacket that were created like in clay, in metal, during the time before it was created like in the crucible. But this is also true to the bacteria, but it took much more time, and you need to know what to search for in the various photographs and videos that I've taken. But I created it, and this is something different. Of course, I created it, I was like a vehicle for its creation. The symbolic actions and the experiments that I've done was intended for it to be created, without me knowing exactly what I'm doing. Even though at some point it's not that I didn't understand. It's kind of an emergent understanding of of the nature of what I actually do. But I always understood that what I do is is related to the creation of new life forms, and this was explicitly the goal. Like all the time I spoke about I always speak about life forms and creation of life forms. So it's not that that I tried to create gold and out of the life form was created unintentionally. I always speak about it like this is the goal, like creating of life forms and also creating new neurons, and both creating new life forms and multiplication of and growth of the neurons themselves. So it was always the explicit agenda, but without understanding, what I was doing is kind of designing this kind of a bicycle bacteria. So it's a new microbe. It's not the same as the sausage or the train. It's another thing, just another bacteria, and it's have a completely different set of properties. First of all, it doesn't look the same. Second, it doesn't made from the same material. It's made out of metal. The bicycle bacteria is organic. It's cool, but it's still any microbe that it's made out of carbon, it's organic. The bicycle bacteria is made out of metal. It's something completely different. And it's got a tremendous set of properties that I don't want to spoil to you, because, so let's just, this video is already too long, so I'll just sum up, I'll just answer the question that was left from before. So, because I asked earlier in this video, I said that the people that are the victims of Israeli intelligence, maybe they can also live in this country, like the new Alt Neuland. So, and I asked without answer, so how do you identify them? So, they would be identified. They are identified by the fact that they have the bacteria. Of course, I will try to remove this bacteria using symbolic language, but the fact that this exists in their body makes them a victim of the Israeli intelligence. So you can ask, but after that it's removed, they will no longer have it. So how can you identify it after they are removed? Because after it's removed, they become titans. They no longer Homo sapienses. They become titans. So you can ask, but you don't want all the titans. You only want titans that did not cooperate with the Israelis against you. So how would you identify all of it? Of course, when I say how do you identify it, it's not that I need to meet them and say you are okay or you are not. It all relates to the symbolic language of how do I represent these people in the symbolic language. And of course, the existence of the worm, in the body of Homo sapiens is enough in order to know that it should be removed, and that he or she should become titans. Now, you can ask, but you don't want all the titans. So the titans that I don't like are those that have the neurons in their body, because it was only taken by my abuse. So a different set of pictures will be made for both the Titans, separate the Titans and the Homo sapienses that have the neurons in their body. And they will receive the bicycle worm. And they will have the bicycle worm in their body. So eventually, after the process ends, we have Titans without the bicycle and without the train. humans, I mean, also Titans that have only the bicycle, and humans that have the bicycle, but no train, just bicycle. So now, what are the special characteristics of the bicycle? So I already mentioned it earlier today that it's a professor of human anatomy with special expertise on the tongue and the mouth cavity of Homo sapienses. So it's actually made to treat the very common and life-threatening diseases of humans, of chronic inflammation of the oral cavity and the tongue. So this will actually bring a lot, tremendous relief to this world, because it will treat this ailment, the mouth and tongue ailment of humans, and this will be done very quickly. But it's also expert on other things as well. Of course, it belongs to the family of shared consciousness creatures. Like it shares consciousness with all of the other bicycle worms, also in other bodies. This is done by of course, predicated on the existence of the neurons. It's kind of amazing, but it's not the only life forms that can do it. Of course, it's done because the neurons can do it. So it will also increase cooperation between humans. It will be only beneficial for everybody. Yes, there is the question of how it can multiply inside the human body, because it requires metal, and actually the blood contains metals, but it probably, I guess that it will make you the people that have it, they will have munchies for metal rich food. I don't know exactly what, but we will see. We will see. We will see. Fish. Mostly saltwater fish. Mostly big ones. They have metals in their body, so probably you will have craving for this kind of fish. And if you like it or eating it anyway, then good for you, because the bacteria will be very satisfied. And so the general trajectory of this kind of life form is to increase cooperation between humans, and also, of course, to heal the chronic inflammation of the tongue. So that's what will happen, and it will be done very quickly. And of course, I will do my kind of side of the job, not only in creating it, but also in creating the actual symbols that will signify the starship neurons to start the process of multiplying this kind of new life form in the bodies that require it in the most urgent way. So that's all for now, and now let's get back to work, and I'll update you later with how things are advancing.